Hello and welcome to a new video. I got my new cardigan, my new Life of a Showgirl cardigan in the mail. I never know how to style a cardigan because, like, what do you wear under it? It's got such a deep V, but, like, I don't want to just wear the cardigan, so it doesn't make any sense. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into the video for today. I am very late uploading my one-take wrap-up for July and August. It is currently October, so I am way behind with these. But honestly, I don't even have that many books to catch up on. At least it doesn't really feel like it. So let's just jump right into it. The books I read in July and August. So starting in July, I finished my reread of the Infernal Devices series, and I read Clockwork Prince and Clockwork Princess. Obviously, I loved these. These are some of my favorite books of all time. I, was just, crying in my bed, even though I knew exactly how it was going to end. I just really love these books. I love these characters. I love Cassandra Clare. I love the whole Shadowhunters world. But this, series specifically is just so moving and so beautiful. And I love the setting of it so much, the historical setting of it so much. And I had a good time. A devastating time, but a good time. The story will never get easier to read. I'll say that. That's for sure. Next, I read You Should Be So Lucky by Cat Sebastian. This ended up being one of my standouts from the year. This video probably won't even be a one take because I'm also managing this little fool the entire time. Anyway, I read You Should Be So Lucky by Cat Sebastian, which ended up being, I think, a real standout that I didn't necessarily expect. It sounded good, but the story ended up being so compelling. I really liked the characters. There really is no such thing as a one-take wrap-up when you have a puppy. I really liked the characters in this story, and I just really liked the historical setting. This one took place in the 1960s, and that was just a time period that I had never read about before, really. And I really liked the setup that it presented for the characters and getting to learn about their experiences, and just how they navigated the world when it's such, even being, 50, 60 years ago, such a different world to now. It was really interesting to see how they navigated that world, and they just had such a beautiful relationship between the two of them. Next, I read one of the absolute highlights from the year, and that is Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. This obviously was just one of the best books of the year, if not ever. Suzanne Collins always just hits the mark exactly perfectly, as she should. She tells stories in beautiful, haunting ways, and this was no exception. I adored this book. I adored Haymitch, and this book was no exception. I just thought it was so amazing, and I really loved getting to see an insight into a slightly different time period in this world, and it was horrible and sad, and there were so many parts that I just could not believe happened, but at the same time I believed them because this is the world that they live in. And I really loved all the connections between the original trilogy, between Snow Story, and between this one. And I saw someone say, which I would really love, at this point, well, there's already been kind of speculation on, there's 3 books in the main trilogy, so maybe there'll be 3 prequel books. And then I saw someone point out, we've had books from every District 12 victor. We've got Katniss's books, obviously. We have Lucy Gray in Snow's book, and then we have Haymitch's book. So I feel like somewhere to kind of finish that out could be giving Peeta his own book, which would absolutely kill me, because if Haymitch is my favorite character, and then here's Peeta, my absolute favorite character of all time. The other kind of theory I've seen people say is maybe Finnick getting a book, but I also could barely handle that. So I love this world, and I definitely am already thinking about doing a reread. I got a, you can't actually see it in the frame, but I got a box set of them so I could do some like annotations and stuff and really find those connecting threads between all of the books. So next, I read A Study in Scarlet Women by Sherry Thomas. I really enjoyed this one. This is the start of a series. It is about a Sherlock Holmes retelling. A girl named Charlotte Holmes. She is ruined in society, and she has to navigate her way on her own now. She purposely ruins her reputation so that she can move in circles normally. Normally is not really the word, but she wants freedom from her parents, from her family, so that's what she does, and it's low-key iconic. She has this best friend, and the like tension that is going to be like a whole series long relationship for these two, I'm living for it. And so she's a genius, and she ends up helping solve a case, and the way she does this is she creates the character of Sherlock Holmes and pretends to be his sister, and is like able to communicate for him, because he doesn't, like, he's ill and cannot like leave the house, leave his room or anything. So he is a fake, a fake character that people believe is real in solving these cases, but really it's her. So I adored this one. It was a little slower to get into, but once you're in it, it's such a fun time, and it's like a huge cast of characters that are really enjoyable, so I loved this one. Next, I finished up my Elsie Silver vlog, which is now up on my channel already, but I read Powerless, Reckless, and Hopeless by Elsie Silver. So I have a lot of thoughts on these books already on my channel because I did a whole vlog, but in general, I did enjoy this series. There were probably like aspects I didn't like as much. Like, it's definitely not an all-time favorite romance series, but overall I did really enjoy myself, and I like these characters, and I really like this setting. Powerless, I think, remains my favorite. I just really liked the hockey player character, to be honest, and I thought their friends to lovers like relationship was really interesting, and really compelling to read. Reckless, I also liked, and Hopeless. I'm gonna be honest, I'm having a hard time remembering the difference between Reckless and Hopeless. Overall, I liked this series. Whichever was which, the one with the sister who has a baby, I think it's Hopeless, but I don't know. The one who, there's a big time jump, and they skip over all of the like pregnancy, having the baby, and like 9 months after that. That one really frustrated me because I hated time jumps. So but those are all the books I read in July, so let's take a look at all the books I read in August. It's not a super long list, but I read the second book in the Scarlet and Study Women series, A Study in Scarlet Women. I think I mixed up those words. I read A Conspiracy in Belgravia. Again, love this series. I loved this book. I never googled what Belgravia means. I think it's a place that doesn't exist anymore, at least not by that name. Again, like the build-up of these characters and this relationship between Charlotte and her best friend, it's an experience, that's for sure. This book really starts to more call in to the lore, like the Sherlock lore of Moriarty, and that only will continue to grow throughout the series. I believe it's a 9-book series, 8 or 9 books. And I'm very excited to see how that all plays out. I think it'll be really good. Next, I read Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. This was such a good book. I greatly enjoyed it. This follows a nurse who, I've said before, there's not a lot of books with nurses as main characters. It's like romance books, so that was a really fun little addition. And these characters were just like catching lightning in a bottle. I keep hearing that phrase with the new Taylor Swift album, and I think that accurately describes this book. They were just trying to hold on to something because they're both like their lives are so out of control, and they were just trying to find something to ground them, and they found that in each other, and it was a really, really beautiful relationship. And I know a lot of people actually had trouble with the third act breakup in this book, but for me it made a lot of sense, and I actually ended up really enjoying it. This also has a time jump. Look, I still hate a time jump, but this one, it made sense and it worked within the story, so I didn't mind it too much. So overall, really loved it. Next, I listened to Room for Two by Lana Ferguson, which was a Spotify audiobook, and one of my very first audiobooks this year, I'm pretty sure. I really liked this one. It was a sweet story. It had one of those, like, not mistaken identity, but kind of like that, where like they had met before but she didn't remember and da 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 da. I didn't love that aspect of it, because why wouldn't you just say when you met again, like, oh, I met you before, like, without, because he didn't want to embarrass her because of the details of how they met the first time, but just don't bring up the details. I don't know. So that was like, it was good. It wasn't great. It's not going to be a super memorable, but I did like the, like, confined, it's one of those stories that only takes place over, like, you know, however many, like, the date takes place over however many hours, and that's the majority of the book, so I did really enjoy that. And then I read Skating the Blue Line by Jocelyn Soto, which, I'm gonna be honest, at this point I barely remember. So that doesn't tell me that it was a super big standout in my head. It was, I know, it was a surprise pregnancy book. She was a ballerina, he was a hockey player, and there were a lot of aspects that I liked. I thought it was very sweet, but it was just, like, not the most memorable story out there. It was cute, it was fine, but, like, 2 months later, and I'm having a hard time remembering any of the plot points, and I definitely, like, don't remember the characters' names or anything. So it was fine. I didn't hate it, but I definitely didn't love it, because, like, I barely remember it at this point. But you know me, I always love a hockey romance, so I had a good time reading it still. And then lastly, I reread City of Fallen Angels, which was such a fun reread. I thought it was just such a cute, like fun time to, like, get back into. Obviously a lot of harrowing things happen in Fallen Angels, but I really enjoyed getting to, like, go back to these characters, return to these characters, and see them again. And this, like, in my head, all of the Mortal Instruments characters are, like, at this point in their lives that I forget how long it took them to get there. So, like, going back to the beginning, seeing Simon and Isabel, like, slowly begin their relationship. Simon is a vampire, he's still Daylighter, got the mark of Cain, all that stuff. And, like, going back to the beginning with Jason Clary too, like, even though this is, you know, over halfway through the series, it still feels like it's the beginning, because they're so much older, like, once you get to Dark Artifices and stuff. So I just had a really good time. They're even, I guess I don't remember if it was in, I think it was in this one, that you see a little hint of the Blackthorns, and makes me so excited to read Lady Midnight again, because that'll come next after I finish Mortal Instruments. I'm so excited. But yeah, that is my wrap up. I hope you enjoyed. I will try not to get so behind on these, but I can't promise anything. So like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye!